This is Economy Watch, what you need to know about New Zealand's economic life today. Brought to you by interest.co.nz.
Kia ora, and welcome to Monday's Economy Watch, where we follow the economic events and trends that affect New Zealand. I'm David Chaston, and this is the international edition from interest.co.nz, and today we lead with news that in 3 elections held over the weekend, democracy seems to be signalling a rejection of the hard line and hard right. But first, in the week ahead, the main event will be Wednesday's Reserve Bank OCR review. But there will be other important global data released as well, including the American CPI and PPI results for June. China will release its versions of inflation monitoring as well, and the data on new yuan loans. And India will release its June CPI data too, plus industrial production data for May. And from Australia we'll get the NAB business sentiment results for June and the Westpac consumer sentiment results. First up, however, we should note that China's foreign exchange reserves in US dollars were little changed in June from May, holding the level they've been since late 2023. But they are rising in yuan, mainly because the yuan is depreciating. Their gold reserves remain unchanged for a second straight month at 73 million troy ounces, and that ends a gain for 18 consecutive months. Those reserves have been put to political use. First it was Sri Lanka, and now Laos has succumbed to China's debt trap diplomacy. China's encouragement to develop their countries with official Chinese loans has plunged Laos into a financially unsustainable situation, and Beijing is now promising to help them out of the mess. Easy money and a drive to catch up is too much of an enticement for local leaders. In the end, the price is subservience. Essentially, China now owns Laos. In Japan, their huge government pension investment fund, one of the world's biggest institutional investors, booked a $462 billion gain last year, more than New Zealand's entire economic activity as measured by GDP. They need it, however, as wages rise there and their workforce ages further, the claims on that will rise. That fund alone has reserves of almost $2.5 trillion. On Saturday, New Zealand time, the closely watched non-farm payrolls report for the US was released with a headline result of 206,000 larger employment in June, slightly more than the 190,000 expected. Their unemployment rate was little changed at 4.1%. But this seasonally adjusted data masks an actual rise of 547,000 people on company payrolls, although that was lower than the 844,000 increase in the prior month. There are now 161.8 million people employed in June in the US, including the unincorporated self-employed, up 433,000 from May. So all the growth is in company payrolls, and people are shifting out of the self-employment workforce into the more formal workforce. And that is confirmed by pay rates. Hourly average pay hit $30 an hour for the first time ever in June, up 4% from a year ago, and rising faster than inflation. Average weekly earnings, which accounts for working hours, rose 3.7%, also more than inflation, which is running at 3.3%. But these gains are now easing from earlier months. Basically, this data changed their economic situation little, but it has a sense of a slowing trend. US Treasury yields fell on the news, but Wall Street equities took it in its stride. The US dollar eased very slightly. The Fed probably liked what it saw. The New York Fed boss said the US economy was doing remarkably well and there had been significant progress towards inflation goals. Fed boss Powell will be testifying in Congress this coming week. The next US Fed rate review is on August the 1st, New Zealand time. In Canada, their labour market report for June wasn't positive. In fact, their employed jobs fell a trivial 1,400 when a 22,500 rise was expected. They'll be disappointed in that. This data probably advanced the case for a July rate cut when their central bank meets next on July 25th. Their policy rate is currently 4.75%. And staying in Canada, there was some more positive news. Their widely watched local June PMI rebounded sharply back to the April growth levels, consigning the lowish May result to outlier status. They've now had 11 consecutive months of economic growth, the second highest string since 2016, the pandemic aftermath excepted. And France is voting in the second round of its most crucial legislative elections in recent years, with the early results suggesting a sharp rejection of the far right. Voter turnout, however, is being described as unusually high, as are the stakes. In Iran, the more moderate of the two options for president, a position subservient to the top cleric, won handily in a signal their population wants a less confrontational government and more focus on economic improvement. And the British election delivered an unusually large landslide for its centre-left Labour Party, with strong gains for its third force Lib Dems as well. The hard-right Reform Party won only 5 seats, despite getting 14% of the vote, such as FPP. In Tokyo, their first female governor secured a third term on Sunday in the capital's election. It was also a clear rejection of hard-right nationalist opponents. The US Treasury 10-year yield is now at 4.28% and unchanged from Saturday and down 12 basis points from a week ago. On Wall Street this week, we'll get early corporate results for the second quarter, led as usual by some big banks. The upcoming second quarter reports will be following an unusually strong first quarter set, one that generally gave upbeat forward guidance. There will be interest over whether those bullish views have continued. And the price of gold will start today down $1 at $2,389 an ounce. A week ago, this price was $2,326 an ounce. And oil prices are marginally firmer at just on $83 a barrel in the US, while international Brent price is just under $87 a barrel. And the Kiwi dollar starts today 10 basis points firmer from Saturday, now at 61.5 US cents. A week ago, it was under 61 US cents, so a half a cent rise since then. Against the Aussie, we're at 91.1 Australian cents. Against the euro, we're holding at 56.7 euro cents. That all means our trade-weighted index starts today at 70.6 and little changed. And the Bitcoin price starts today at $56,949 and up 0.7% from Saturday. Volatility over the past 24 hours has been modest, though, at just on plus or minus 1.7%. You can find links to the articles mentioned today in our show notes, and you can get more news affecting the economy in New Zealand from interest.co.nz. Kia ora, I'm David Chaston, and we'll do this again tomorrow.